This is Leisha Holmes, and I'm your host on the Recruitment podcast, and I love going global with our guests. This is Paris Matin, and he is the General Manager at Next in Health in Sydney and also a mentor on the amazing The Recruiters Mentor Project. Welcome to you today, Paris. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me, Leisha. Coming to you all live from Sydney, Australia. So it's currently 6:15 and looking dark and gloomy outside. But really excited to be a part of this.
So as we record this, I'm just starting my day and you're finishing your day. And you're heading out of summer and we're heading into summer.
That's right. I can see the sunshine just in the background there coming through the window. So
illuminating. So it's so lovely to meet you. And we were actually supposed to do this recording a few months ago, but Paris sadly got COVID. So, and I'm obviously recovering from a very sore laryngitis episode. So apologies if I sound a little bit squeaky, but we crack on. Very nice for you to join us. For those who are not yet familiar with you, Paris, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm obviously the General Manager here at Next in Health. Next in Health is 6 months old. So we established ourselves back in October last year. I myself have been in recruitment now for 12 years, going on 9 of those 12 years in healthcare and well-being. So for me, healthcare is my passion, and it stems from my close relationship that I have with my grandmother, who I adore very much. And many years ago, thankfully, she's mobile and still living at home. And, for me, I looked at her a couple of years ago and thought if I ever had my grandmother going into a nursing home or an aged care facility, that I'd want the very best quality of staff in those facilities looking after her. And I think that's kind of transitioned into the work that I do and we've done along the years. So healthcare is something that's very close to my heart. And I always strive to deliver the utmost quality of recruitment.
I absolutely love that. That's your why. It's just, you can argue with that. And I think if, as you're listening to this now, ask yourself, what that is. For me, when I set up my recruitment business, it's because of the experience I'd had as a recruiter. I was treated as a commodity, and I promised myself, why should that be the case? So mine is not quite as altruistic as yours, but it's a personal story. And how is your grandma? Is she well?
She's well. She's good. She's we just celebrated her 86th birthday on Sunday. So so we enjoyed that. And look, I think it's definitely something that, as you know as well, Lish, recruiters from time to time, whether they're first entering the sector in recruitment and they fall into a certain sector of recruitment, is, the job was available at the time, or I just kind of fell into it, or was the next best thing. But I think for me, I kind of got the opportunity to step into healthcare recruitment many years ago and just develop that passion and that love for it. And I'll continue to do it for the years to come.
I'm really pleased you mentioned that, actually, because for a lot of our listeners who are possibly in the early stages of their recruitment career, and this was certainly the case with me, I certainly fell into engineering. You can choose a sector that is your passion.
Absolutely.
I genuinely think that, and it's a really, cliche thing to say, but if you find a sector that you're passionate about, you won't feel like you're working as hard because you'll just enjoy it. You'll enjoy the conversations, they'll be more meaningful. And I genuinely think that, fundamentally, recruitment is very similar, whatever sector you're in, because it's about dealing with the human journey. Whether that's placing drivers, whether it's placing people into care homes, whether it's placing recruiters, whether it's placing developers, you are the process to attract a candidate to a job, and sell an EVP is the same. So I think it's a really important point that you make. Well, thank you. But you mentioned there that you launched your business in October 2021, which you were still, we all know Australia had like the strictest lockdown. Why on earth would anybody do that? Tell us a little bit about how and why this came about.
Well, firstly, I think there was no better time to open an agency or a business during a pandemic, a global pandemic. I think we had the opportunity to obviously open the doors during a really unsettling, unprecedented time. But I always go back to the tagline of Nike, which is just do it. And for me, for many years, it was something that I wanted to do. One day I wanted to have a piece of my own kind of agency where I was able to implement the ideas and the strategies that I felt was appropriate for a recruitment agency delivering quality services. So, for me, I had the opportunity with our parent company, which is People Infrastructure, formerly now known as People In. So they are Australia's largest family of recruitment brands, actually. So they currently have 25 recruitment agencies across 4 different verticals, including industrial, trades and services, IT, and obviously healthcare and community services. And for us, opening Next in Health, it was the first organic agency being a part of the People In portfolio. So, I think there is no better time to do something than going ahead and doing it. If you currently look at the property market here in Australia, interest rates are all-time low, and people are kind of banging on about it's too expensive to put a deposit down. And if you truly want something, you'll make it work. And I think no better time now to open up an agency or to go for it. So definitely, it was tough opening during a pandemic, but we had low risks. There was a lot of people out there that were kind of umming and ahhing of what they're going to be doing in their organization and, what their workforce looked like. We had a little bit of time up our sleeves as well during that pandemic because decisions weren't being made as quickly either. So it allowed us to kind of develop and build rapport with clients, but also to get our name out in the industry. And we did that really successfully early on. We launched in October, and by the end of November, we had over 7,000 views on our website. So it's I guess the lessons I learned out of opening an agency during the pandemic is go for it, do it. If you've got it at your mind, go for it.
I was just going to say, obviously, hopefully we won't still be in a pandemic when this is shared across our podcast channels. But, even if you're dipping into this in the future as well, obviously it should be an evergreen episode. I think it's really invaluable advice. And I think as you get older and you sort of look back, you think the only things you should ever regret in life are things that maybe you didn't do rather than things you did do. And who, if you follow some, amazing influencers and thought leaders on LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter, you'll see that what they share about mindset, which I know we're going to come on to, is that, the only thing you ever learn from it is when you've tried something, it's maybe not worked, but going for it, taking that step forward. And you're right. Just do it. But I think we've got to be mindful that if somebody is listening to this, where they're thinking, I've been in recruitment for a few years, I'm thinking about doing it commercially and financially, people might not feel that they're in a position to do so, but, potentially go and look at an investment company like, maybe not People In, but think about the people around you. And I know we're going to come on to mentors as well, which I think, from that perspective, you don't ever need to feel like a silo. I think it's absolutely invaluable. So that's amazing. So you clearly, look, I'm getting to know you. We've never really spoken about it before, but I feel like I know you because I watch you on LinkedIn all the time. But you clearly have a really special mindset, Paris. So how much do you think your mindset has guaranteed the success of the early launch of your business, but also just as a human being?
Yeah, no, definitely. It stems from my early years or my teenage years playing semi-professional tennis. So growing up, tennis was my everything. It was, I was living, breathing it, sleeping tennis, and left school at the age of 16 to pursue tennis full time. Unfortunately, tore my groin at the age of 21, and that put me out for about a year and got back into it. Lost the motivation at that competitive level. It's tough, as you probably are aware. Tennis is a really competitive sport, but it's tough to get to the top. And unless you're in the top 100, 200, it's very challenging to make a living out of it or to really develop and last. So I made that tough decision at 22 to actually step away from professional sports and move into a long life career, and chose recruitment because there was a lot of synergies that lined with tennis and recruitment, which is the competitive side. Obviously, we deal with competitors on a daily basis, which I might touch on that in a moment. But definitely the competitive side. But also, tennis taught me never give up. Till the last moment or that last point, it's not over. You can still come back and win. And there was many occasions across my tennis career where I was down and out, down 2 sets to love and 5-4 down match point against me, and I came back and ended up winning 3 sets to 2 or whatever it was. So I think I never really lost that competitive edge or that desire to kind of succeed and win. And I've brought that into my career across recruitment over the years, where I don't give up until I achieve what I'm destined to do. And I think that kind of trickled through the launch of Next in Health and, the ongoing, I guess, tenacity in me to kind of keep going and pushing to strive for the very best. And, it stems from our services that we deliver with our clients. When our clients are coming to us, whether it's on a retained or a contingent basis, to say, this is what we're looking for. Are you able to assist? And we say, definitely we can. We provide some clear timelines and realistic timelines, but we set out to achieve that goal, which is to place people into their roles. So, yeah, I think it comes probably from my tennis days, Leisha, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I love that bit of your story. But it's actually a perfect analogy, isn't it, really? Because recruitment is never one, it's not one set, it's the whole match. And if I think about my day yesterday, my day started with an offer accepted in the morning and then an offer rejected in the afternoon. But then by the evening, I've got another candidate. And it's literally what you've just said there, it's literally a tennis match.
Yeah.
But it absolutely, I think generally speaking, people who play sports, whether it's at semi-professional level like yourself, or whether it's just from a, recreational point of view, it's having that mindset to keep going, to be collaborative. I know tennis is a silo sport, but I imagine part of a squad, you supporting one another. It's actually a very good analogy for recruitment, isn't it? And that, it's not about that one ball you've just hit. It's about what we're going to do for the next ball, what we're going to do for the next shot. It's constantly thinking about, and being, aware that it's not just about this next step, it's about the one after that as well. It's consequent. And I think it's brilliant. I didn't know that you were a semi-professional tennis player. How different your life would have been if you hadn't strained your groin.
I know. I would have been I probably would have been on the way to Wimbledon next month to Wimbledon to start preparing. So there you go. We could have done a podcast live at Wimbledon.
Yeah, I'm a little bit away from Wimbledon, but yeah, we could have done that. I'm sure we could have arranged some strawberries and cream along the way. No, I absolutely love that. And, I'm glad that we've already kind of sort of touched on the subject that we're going to talk about next. And we do need to do a massive shout out to Pete Watson, who is remarkable at what he did in 2020 by launching the Recruiters Mentor Project. So for anyone who isn't yet familiar with what that was and what that is, give us a little explanation.
Yes, so obviously Pete, initiated and started, the Recruiters Mentors Project for Australian, recruitment owners, leaders, managers, to mentor what we call mentees, so up and coming recruiters in the industry, people that are coming into the sector for the very first time, or recruiters along the way that perhaps want some reminders or some touch-ups on certain, topics and areas within recruitment. And I think Pete's sitting around 100, 105 mentors across Australia, if not more now. And I think kind of explored that globally now and over in the UK and New Zealand as well. So, I got the opportunity to put my hand in, and Pete kind of turned around and said, absolutely, and linked me up with a lovely mentee by the name of Alicia there, so in Melbourne, and another girl by the name of Marley as well. So Marley's in Melbourne.
In Melbourne.
Say that again?
Did you say her name was Leisha?
No, sorry, Alicia. Her name's Marley in Melbourne. Yeah. So, so Marley's based in Melbourne. I'm in Sydney, but we have the opportunity once a month to link up and talk all things recruitment. Marley's great because she'll come to me and sort of say, look, Paris, I recently had this experience with a client. Is there a way that I could have done things differently next time, or what could I have done that would have changed that outcome? Or and we go through kind of several topics, whether it's terms of business, whether it's client interaction, business development, candidate generation, marketing, whatever it may be. But we always come up with a new topic for the next conversation that we're going to have. And it's been really rewarding. For me, I feel like I'm giving back to the sector, but really trying to also break that stigma that we essentially have had over the years across the recruitment space. Recruitment isn't all about your traditional salesman type, kind of mentality. At the end of the day, we're here to help people into life-changing opportunities elsewhere and meaningful careers that they can have long term. So for me, I wanted to give back to the sector by offering, my knowledge and experiences that I've developed and had over the years. I'm not an expert in any sense. I still learn each and every day from newbies coming into the sector, and that's what it's about. But, if I can pass on what I've learned and experienced across the last 12 years in recruitment to someone that can hopefully help them, then I feel as though I'm doing my job.
There's loads of amazing points, and I'm going to try and remember all the ones that I want to pick up on. First of all, mentoring is not exclusive for people who are junior. You could get mentored. In fact, I'm mentoring someone at the moment who is a manager, who's a leader in his business. So I think it's important to bear that in mind. So you've covered a few points there in terms of advantage to you. The mentor, you feel that you're giving something back, you're imparting experience. Perhaps there's a part of your brain that thinks, I wish I'd had this when I was starting out in recruitment. But let's be cynical for a moment, because there are a lot of cynical recruiters listening, I'm sure, because I'm actually one. Why would they not get this within their leadership team, within the business that they work for? Why would they not go to that person and say, I need some support here on business development or on terms or whatever it might be? Why do you think you need an external mentor?
Look, I think for a couple of reasons. I think that there's definitely different sectors that you can definitely learn from as well and implement that into the sector or the area that you recruit across. I mean, for us here at Next in Health, we've had the opportunity to work within one of our partner agencies, Halcyon Knights, which is an IT company here in Australia. And we've been able to work out of their office a couple of days a week, so doing a bit of collaboration within the group. But throughout our time in the office there, we actually, over whether it's eardropping or whatnot, hear of how IT recruitment is done, and it's very different to healthcare recruitment. So there's parts that we can potentially look at and say, right, that works well within IT. Let's implement that. Let's trial it in healthcare recruitment. So I think that goes around in both ways with a mentor and a mentee as well. But definitely, you still have the ability and that support from your direct manager or leader in the business that you work in. But again, it's the ability to kind of go outside of that and see how else others recruit or manage or whatever it may be.
Impartiality is really important, and I think that's where, for me, looking at what mentorship means, you are getting an objective point of view, because very often if you go to somebody within your business, there is a selfish subjective point of view. We just want the fee in, doesn't matter, get it done. But actually having an impartial external person, I totally agree about learning through osmosis and plagiarizing the best bits, which is why, when you're hiring in recruiters into your business, don't just take somebody that's working for a competitor. Take somebody that's been doing agriculture recruitment or IT or driving recruitment, whatever it might be, because there will be something you can learn from each other. So
that's right.
So I think it's really, invaluable. And I think, clearly you enjoy it. It's something that you give back. It's, it's your time you're giving for free. What do you think the advantages are for the mentees then? Without sounding obvious, if you're sat here now thinking, well, I want to get involved with this, what do you think it does in terms of propelling their career?
For the mentee? Look, I think, like I said there again, it's the ability to have a second and third opinion out there. Sometimes as well, mentees may not feel as comfortable in going to their direct manager or leader for whatever reason. So having that ability to go to it's almost like sometimes with whether you've got siblings and you don't feel comfortable going to your mum or dad, so you go to your brother or sister and say, look, I've had this situation arise. What do I do? Or help me out here. So I think it's that, but also it's enabling the mentee to see kind of the bigger picture in recruitment, see that there is that ability to progress and have a meaningful career in recruitment and long life career in recruitment, because there's so many areas recruitment can take your career down, whether that's internal, external, management, HR, so I think, having that as well and having that ability to kind of link up with a mentor that perhaps has had that experience or years behind them to sort of show them and say, right, this is a meaningful career, a long life career, and these are the options that you have, and hopefully we can get you there.
I think as well. I mean, I've been mentoring for 2 years, which is absolutely remarkable, and I love watching. Obviously we do it for 12 months. I don't know if it's the same with you. You do a 12-month project, sort of releasing them and then seeing them absolutely, enhance their career, throw themselves into what they've been doing. But you get involved in other areas as well. You're talking from a holistic point of view about areas of their life that it's not just work, it's not just what they're doing in their recruitment desk, it's other aspects. Well, certainly I get involved at that level. So I think there are so many distinct advantages, but I do just want to come back before we finish. I do just want to come back to a point that you made, in that I think for new people coming into the recruitment sector, you are in an industry that is very mature. It's multi-billion dollars, multi-billion pounds, whichever part of the globe you're listening in. But there are still a lot of people involved in our industry who fell into recruitment and possibly are still very cynical about what we do and that see it as a transactional thing. I absolutely subscribe to what Paris has said. What we do in our job is we change people's lives. That is what we do. We are there to help and support. We are not there just to make fees and make deals. We are there to transform people's lives in terms of the job seekers and to, crucially, assist our clients in achieving their business goals. And I think it's important that you find a company with a purpose and a value system that is about that, because for me, that's what this is about. And for me, I think that's what you're saying, that mentoring is this extra layer, ensuring that those are the sorts of recruiters we want to not only train and develop and mentor, but actually keep within the industry, because that's what will make it a much better regarded industry.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the thing, I feel as though the modern recruiter, the meaning behind a modern recruiter today is various kind of parts to it. I think, definitely a good marketer, how you market yourself out in the industry that you're in or the sector you're in, a career coach, sometimes a psychologist, so there's a few parts to it that kind of you put together to find the modern day recruiter. But definitely we're there to change lives. It's meaningful impacts that we're making. A person is just not an object or a product, are they? So there's a lot more meaning behind making a placement with a client, because that candidate feels like they've found the right role, they've found the new organization in which they're going into that is the right culture and all of the above. But definitely it's a lot more rewarding for me, making that person's life-changing decision for the better.
Definitely. Recruitment is an ecosystem, and I think if you're listening to this and you're thinking about which mentor do I want to approach, who do I want to go to, look at somebody that's got tenure, look at somebody that's, and I don't mean necessarily 20 years, but someone that has got a significant period of time in a business, because you will find that your candidate becomes your client, and then they will recommend people to you. That's what you're looking for. That's the mindset that we're talking about here. So
we can't teach experience, can you, Leisha? You can't teach the lot,
We can give people our mistakes of what you can and can't do. And that's the thing. Mentoring isn't about telling people what to do. Mentoring is about empowering people to know what actions to take when those things happen. It's about, challenging what you think might be the right way to do it and ensuring that they've got all the toolkit, because that's what it's about. It's enhancing the toolkit. We're giving them the best tools on the market. That's all been so invaluable, Paris. Have you enjoyed the podcast with us today?
I have. Thank you so much for having me. It's it's been an honor to come on to the series, and I'm glad that we finally got to kind of virtually meet face to face. We've kind of chatted on and off now for a while through LinkedIn and followed each other through each other's journeys, but really fortunate to have been asked to come on. So thank you, Leisha. I really appreciate it.
I'm so glad that you dropped me that message. It was last year. That's crazy. But thank you very much for joining us. I love what we've talked about today, and it's so nice to speak to a fellow recruiter who really wants to do something altruistic for our industry, because we're privileged to do what we do. But thank you so much for joining us on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast.
No worries. Thank you. Cheers.